Cross-subsidy, we take money out of the journalism school profits, we put it into other projects. We take money out of the farm, profit, if there is profit, and sometimes you don't make any, depends on the rain and many other factors, disease, and farming is a very, very iffy business. And hopefully in the long run, we create endowment and sustain it. It's a tough battle. You have to fight every day to make it happen. The lessons learned, everybody wants to know. First is think big, act small. Well, I had this great idea of 100 schools. I started with one. I realized that one is hard to do, but you got to think big. Second, don't be afraid to try new ideas. Don't have the herd mentality. Just because everybody is doing a certain way, you read articles to do it in a certain way, don't follow. I never followed any of these things. I read about it. I had a good idea. I did it my way. And you make mistakes, and you fix the mistakes and go forward. Believe me, you guys have the training and the background to innovate, and do innovate and fix a problem. Yeah, that's what it is. Next one, tell your story well. I thought that if I do my work well the first 10 years, others will see that something good is happening. No, it doesn't work like that. You got to go and tell your story, like I am doing today. You got to tell people what you have done and why they should partner with you, why they should help you, why should they be part of a good idea. And that's the only way you're going to get support. Don't wait for them discovering you. Nobody's going to discover you. My hard lessons. I'll end with a story of, I had many stories I want to tell. My time has run out. With the story of ethical issues. I came from America to India thinking that with a clean broom, I could wipe away thousands of years of all the evil in India, corruption, everything. I realized that my broom wasn't big enough. But anyway, this guy getting frustrated. I sent a container, 40-foot container of wheat to India 10 years ago. And when it arrived at the customs officials said they want a bribe. And they called me up in New York. I was in New York. I said, no bribes. This is for poor people. He said, we are also poor. Okay. So then I said, okay. Then he said, they have to do a lab test. And they said, it contains alcohol. My old wheat, 40-foot container contains alcohol. I tried to explain to this guy that wheat ferments, and it creates a little alcohol. It is no harm, nothing doing. Unless I bribe, they won't. So I finally said, burn the whole container. And I burned the container. It took me 1 week to get permission to burn it. But today, if you ask me, will I do that again? No. I deprived hundreds and hundreds of people, the Indian bread for a whole year on one principle. Did I change that guy's behavior? No. He's not going to change just because I burned it. No tears, So if you want to bring about change, that I can give you hundreds of stories. The truth is that if you want to bring about change on these kind of things, it has to be a top-down, like journalism school, where you write about these corrupt fellows. You have to fix a judiciary. You have to elect good politicians. Going and fighting with a low-level clerk and telling him you won't give the bribe, it doesn't work. He will put your application in the waste can. You want electricity? Well, you say, yeah, it's coming, but nothing will come. I can give you a story of how do you connect electricity in India, You had to buy the pole, you had to buy the transformer, you had to bring the guy, and you had to bribe him, and then you get your electric connection after 6 months. So you have to make those ethical choices, and whether you are going to fight every guy, you have to select your battles. That's the lesson I learned here. Significant impact doesn't mean significant cost. A perfect example is the lead poisoning. I spend money in bringing equipment and doing everything, but the impact is national. Shanti Bhavan, it's a long term, but the impact would be very big, but the money spent is also very large. But remember one thing, that long-term sustainable change cannot be brought about by mediocrity. Only excellence will bring you that. It's true of business, true of this too. If you want to bring about change, that will remain. You have to change the whole system. You have to bring about excellence. And that's what some of these projects are trying to do. There is no shortcuts. People look for magic, solutions. Give a few dollars and people become entrepreneurs. It doesn't happen very often. You have to think through very carefully what will bring about sustainable change. And last point, I believe, market-based solutions. Well, they affect, will trickle down, but the $2 and below, they don't have the ability to buy things. They don't have the knowledge base to do things. So if you want to bring about change there, you have to have direct intervention. It doesn't mean that market-based solutions aren't effective. Maybe you need to find a way that companies will open their factories very close to villages. Maybe you need to find a way where you can train people to be employed in those factories. You've got to find fiscal and monetary policies that will make it possible, through direct interventions. Don't wait for trickle-down to come, because every year 18 million people are added to this pile. And there is no way trickle-down is going to get there. Sure, you're going to read in the New York Times and elsewhere that India is prospering, but remember that prosperity is confined to 250 million people. It's exciting for businesses, but lives are not changed. You want to bring about change, there is no shortcut. Thank you very much.
So at this point, we'll open up the floor to questions. There are 2 mics at the front of the room. If you could line up behind them, and please introduce yourself as you ask.